नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, राम राम सा, खंबाड़ी, वड़कम, प्रणाम। आप सभी का ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है। मैं आपकी होस्ट गायत्री देवी। हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं पीवीआर नरसिम्हा राव सर। और आज का मुद्दा है, सबने पढ़ लिया होगा थंबनेल और टाइटल के ऊपर, वी आर गोइंग टू कंपेयर कुंडली ऑफ अमित शाह जी। प्रिडोमिनेटली फोकस अमित शाह जी की कुंडली के ऊपर होगा एंड देन इट विल बी कंपेयर्ड विद योगी आदित्यनाथ जी चार्ट, क्योंकि बहुत बातें चल रही हैं कि टसल क्या है इनके बीच में और कौन नेक्स्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनेगा। इसलिए अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम ऑन द शो पेरियंडा।
Thank you very much. Good to be back. Namaste. Namaste to you and all your audience.
So, Periana, Amit Shah ji's Kundli is our primary focus today, and वहाँ से शुरू करते हैं जी।
Sure. Amit Shah ji has a very interesting, very powerful chart. He has, just like I mentioned in my video on Devendra Fadnavis ji, he has Kanya Lagna, and similarly PV Narasimha Rao ji has Kanya Lagna, and similarly Amit Shah ji also has Kanya Lagna. In general, Kanya Lagna people are smart, intelligent, analytical, logical, etc. And his second lord Mercury is in the second house, in an Adhimitra Rasi, in a super friendly house, and he's with Sun. So basically he has a very, very sharp intellect because of the fairy influence, and he's very eloquent. He can find the right words to express himself, and he's very, very smart. And if we look at his, apart from the standard Rasi chart that everybody uses, Parasara teaches 16 different charts. And out of those, there is a chart called Nakshatramsa, which is basically obtained by dividing each Rasi into 27 equal parts. And that chart shows the strengths and weaknesses of a person. And if we see that chart of Sri Amit Shah, we see that Lagna Lord is exalted in the 11th house, aspect in the 5th house of intelligence, and Yokarka Saturn is also with him. So basically, he's a very intelligent man. He's a very smart man. I'm not actually sure what he studied, but the thing is, irrespective of his formal education, etc., the chart suggests somebody extremely sharp, very analytically oriented, very logical, very calculating, and basically some people call him Chanakya of modern India, and the chart does suggest that he is indeed a Chanakya of modern India. And among various political charts that I have seen, PV Narasimha Rao, Devendra Fadnavis, and Amit Shah, these are the three charts that show people with excellent intellectual acumen who can basically make a lot of complicated analysis and calculations in their mind in a split second and can make the right conclusion. So he's a very, very intelligent person. And one interesting thing is, if you look at the Rasi chart, he has Mercury in the second house, and he has Rasi Drishti from Jupiter. More importantly, in the Siddhamsa chart, which is basically the chart of learning that somebody has, he has Lagna with a Shubhakartari from Buddha and Guru, and the second house of speech and astrological knowledge has Jupiter, the significator for astrological knowledge, in a sign owned by Mercury. So it is very likely that he actually knows astrology. I don't think he discussed astrology anywhere publicly, but I am very confident that he has some working knowledge at least of astrology. Basically, if he sees any astrological video, he will be able to make sense of a good part of it. He's basically a pretty decent astrologer himself based on the chart, at least knows all the fundamentals. And anyway, going back to the yogas in his chart, he basically, if we look at his dasha, you look at his Vimshatri dasha, most of his political power came in the Rahu dasha. 2002, around March time period, give or take a month, 2002 March is when Rahu dasha started, and it is a 18-year dasha. It went on till March 2020. So this 18-year period is a great dasha for him because Rahu does not really take part in any traditional Raj Yoga, but the thing is, he's the sixth lord of the house of vanquishing enemies. He's in the 10th house of career. And looking at 10th house of career as the reference, he's basically the 9th lord in the Lagna. So basically, he gives great bhagya in the area of career. And more importantly, most astrologers only look at the chart from Lagna, but Parasara has given a lot of special Lagna, special ascendants. There is an ascendant called Ghati Lagna, which is very important for seeing power, political power, etc. It is the seat of power in a chart. So his Ghati Lagna is at the end of Mithuna in his Rasi chart, and Rahu is also in Mithuna. So taking Ghati Lagna as the center, the ninth lord is in Lagna. Ninth lord of blessings from gods and basically fortune is in the Lagna. So basically, Rahu is a giver of power in this chart, and the Dasha started in March 2002. So from then till 2020 March is really the peak of his career in terms of the political power. And then the Guru Dasha started in 2020. And people who just superficially look at the Rasi chart may think that Jupiter is seventh lord in the ninth house, so he's not bad. But the thing is, if you look at the Bhava Chakra, based on the actual longitudes, Jupiter is not in the ninth house; he's in the eighth house. So when the seventh lord is in the eighth house, he becomes a marka, a potential killer. So he can bring death or lot of suffering, basically. That is death-like. So Jupiter, and also he's in an inimical sign. He's at the beginning of Taurus, which is basically owned by Venus, who's an enemy of Jupiter. So he's in an inimical sign, and also being the seventh lord, he's a marka, and he's also Badhakesha. The seventh house is the Badhakasthana for the Shubha Rasis. So Jupiter is a Badhak for this chart. So he's a Badhak, he's a Marak, and then he's in the eighth house. So that makes him an even stronger marka. So it is likely Jupiter owns the fourth house and seventh house. So relating to kidneys, relating to heart, or Jupiter is the Karaka for liver, so relating to liver, some kind of health problems are very likely. If they may already be there, or if they are not there, during this Jupiter Dasha, they are likely to manifest and likely to give him a lot of trouble. So overall, the bottom line is his Dasha conducive for political power and authority is basically has ended. And now a Dasha that is mixed Dasha. It's not really, see, Jupiter being the seventh lord and fourth lord and aspecting the Lagna, he has some positives also. And from the Ghati Lagna, even though it is in Gemini and he's in Taurus, you shouldn't think that he's in the 12th house of loss. He's actually in the 11th house if you look at the longitudes, because Jupiter is at the beginning of Taurus and Ghati Lagna is at the end of Gemini. So if you look at the actual longitudes, Jupiter is in the 11th house of gains from Ghati Lagna. So he may not bring total loss of power, but at the same time, he's not enjoying the power directly, etc. So overall assessment is there is some kind of reduction in the level of power and the level of influence he enjoys in this time period. And if we look at the Antardashas within the Jupiter Dasha, the Jupiter Antardasha is running right now, and then after was running earlier during the COVID time, and Jupiter Saturn is running right now till November 2024. This is the period when they were re-elected. And if we look at Saturn, he's in Aquarius. He's basically he's the fifth and sixth lord in the sixth house from Lagna. So he's a very good planet for vanquishing enemies and continuing power. And specifically from Ghati Lagna, which shows power, he's the ninth lord in the ninth house. So he shows protection with respect to power. So fortunately, because the elections were in the Saturn Antardasha and Jupiter Dasha, even though this is a mixed Dasha, the Antardasha, the sub-period was very auspicious. So during this period, he continued power. And then Mercury Antardasha is coming next. And Mercury is fine. From Jupiter, he owns the fifth house of power. And from Ghati Lagna, he's the Lagna Lord in the fifth house of power. So he's fine. I don't see any problems in the Mercury Antardasha. But the thing is, Ketu Antardasha runs into 2027 time frame. And Ketu is not really, he's the sixth lord from the Ghatika Lagna, and he's basically in the seventh house of basically Markasthana from the Ghatika Lagna. So there is a chance that 2027 can be problematic. And when I look at the annual charts, annual solar and lunar return charts of say Amit Shah ji for 2026, 27, 25, 26, 27, 28, etc., it does seem like there may be some challenges in the next few years, particularly in 2026 and more so in 2027. So and one more thing is, looking at this chart, the peak of his power is over basically. This is the superb influence he enjoys in Indian politics. Basically, it is now waning. So I do not expect that he'll be the next Prime Minister of India. See, age is on his side. If Narendra Modi ji retires either during this term or at the end of this term, if Narendra Modi ji retires, Amit Shah ji is logically the next best candidate because he's only, I think, how old? 59 years old now. He's not even 60. He'll be 60 years old. He will actually have Shashti Purti in November. So he's pretty young in politics. 59 is actually very young. So he has age on his side, but the the dashas and transits are not really suggesting that he will have a great time. And second thing is, right now, see, he has moon in Aries in Mesh Rasi in Bharani Nakshatra, and Shani is in the 11th house of gains right now. He has Labha Shani, and Guru is in the second house, Dhana Guru. So he has, and Ketu in the 6th house of vanquishing enemies. So 3 out of 4 slow moving planets are having very good transits for him right now. But if you look at Shani's transit in March 2025, he will go into Pisces. So his Sadesati will start, the 7.5 years of Saturnine trouble. So starting from 2025 March, around 7.5 years, he will have Shani problems. And particularly, even though Shani is well placed in his chart, being the sixth lord of health problems, diseases, etc., any existing health problems are likely to become worse during that period, and new health problems may start. So the next 7.5 years are not really good for health. And moreover, as we said earlier, from the Dasha perspective, the fact that Guru Dasha runs, he's Badakesh and he's Marak. So basically, all these factors, and also looking at the annual chart, do suggest to me that his health and other external factors will not allow him to be the successor to Narendra Modi ji. And one note here, taking a step back, looking at Narendra Modi ji's chart, I predicted in his first term itself that he will win 3 terms, but he will not finish the third term. He will voluntarily leave in the middle of the third term. Even though all the signals are, Amit Shah ji recently said in an interview that Modi ji will definitely finish this term. He will actually lead BJP to victory in 2029 also. And I don't think that will happen. That may be their genuine thinking, but I don't think that will happen. Based on Narendra Modi's chart, in the next few years, he will develop disinterest in all the drama that's going on around him. He's a real karma yogi. As long as he's there, he will do his best, irrespective of praises or criticism that is coming his way. He, within the circumstances, within the constraints, he will always do his best. He's a workaholic. He will put in he will work 19 hours, 20 hours a day. He will basically work 7 days a week. But the thing is, at some stage, his heart will withdraw from this over the next couple of years, and he will. I do expect that he will decide that he's not going to lead BJP in the 2029 elections. Actually, one note there. I really hope that next elections are not in 2029, but hopefully in 2028. Even for the previous elections, I was hoping that elections would be held at the end of 2023. That would have been really good for BJP. 2024 was not really a super time for BJP, and they unfortunately held elections at a kind of bad time for them. And similarly, 2029 is not really a good time for them. On the other hand, 2027, 2028 are a superb time for BJP. So I really hope that they will hold the elections 6 months early. So late 2028 is the perfect time to have the elections. So in any case, whether the elections are in 2028 or 2029, the thing is, I expect that in the coming couple of years, Narendra Modi ji will decide. He will take a call. He will know it from his heart, and he will basically tell everybody around him, at least the close confidants, that I'm not going to lead the party in 2028 or 2029. And if that's the case, they can't really move to a new leader at the time of election. They need to have somebody in there earlier. So in 20, and also based on Narendra Modi's chart, I don't think that he will basically be the prime minister in 2028. Basically, sometime in 2026 or 2027, I expect him to voluntarily step down and transfer the reins to somebody else. So 2027, late 2027 is absolutely the last when it will happen according to my assessment. So either in 2026 or sometime in the first 9 months of 2027, that transition will happen. And looking at the chart of Amit Shah ji and Narendra Modi ji, what I can say is Narendra Modi ji will basically will make a plan for exit from this prime ministership and active politics, whereas Amit Shah ji will continue in politics, but he will basically, I don't see him stepping up to be the next prime minister. And among all the charts that I have seen so far, I have, by the way, also just for the record, have seen the chart of Sri Nitin Gadkari ji. He will be successful in politics for many more years. He has long career ahead of him in Indian politics, but I don't see the prime ministerial potential in his chart either. I don't think that he's the next prime minister, even though his name has come up in some circles. I don't think he's the next prime minister. And Amit Shah ji is not the next prime minister. As a matter of fact, I expect that he will have slightly reduced role in the party and government, and also have some health problems to take care of. So out of all the charts I have seen, as I mentioned in a previous video, there are 3 BJP charts that I have seen which have potential for being prime minister: Annamalai, Devendra Fadnavis, and Yogi Adityanath. Out of these, Annamalai is way out. He's basically, first he has to win an election in Tamil Nadu, then become the chief minister of Tamil Nadu, then grow to the national politics. It is another decade or so more, decade and a half away. So he's not the next prime minister. And Devendra Fadnavis ji, he has potential, but again, his best time is coming later. I don't see him as taking over at this time. He's basically probably the one after the one who takes over from Narendra Modi ji. So Yogi Adityanath, he is the one who has that potential. And also, based on his dasas, based on his annual charts, based on his transits, he does have that potential in the 2026, 27, 28 time frame. But again, as I mentioned in a video long back, I don't expect him to be the prime minister for a long time. Like Narendra Modi ji was prime minister for 2.5 or 3 terms. He won't basically stay that long. He will just stay for a term and a half or couple of terms, less than couple of terms. He'll get out basically. He'll come with specific targets. He will accomplish those and he will get out. He's that kind of a person. He's an absolute. Yogi Adityanath is a very detached person. He will, given the circumstances, whatever the circumstances are, however good or bad they are, he will deal with them the same way. He will just do his best without worrying about things that are outside of his control. He will just do his best and he will move on. He's that kind of a person, and he doesn't do a lot of calculations like other people do. He doesn't basically think this will give me losses in the long run. If something is the right thing, he will basically go ahead and do it. He's that kind of he's more of a daredevil compared to Amit Shah ji and Narendra Modi ji, who are more calculating, who are more basically cautious. Whereas Yogi Adityanath is a sannyasi. He doesn't care about anything. He has renounced karma phala, and he will always do the right karma that he thinks is right for him, right for the world around him. So looking at all the charts that are available to me, the best assessment I can come up with is that Yogi Adityanath will be the next prime minister, and definitely not Amit Shah ji. And one note there is, Amit Shah ji, see, right now there are reports of tussle between Yogi Adityanath and Amit Shah ji, and some people claim, I don't know if it is true, but some people claim that in the second term, after the elections, after 2019 elections, they have been basically trying to suppress Yogi Adityanath ji and basically reducing his power even in the state government, and also in the recent elections, parliament elections, his input was not sought, or his confidants or his loyalists were basically sidelined, and they tried to basically have a complete control over who gets the nominations. There are also rumors that Yogi ji actively sabotage some of the candidates, some of the BJP candidates, not directly but indirectly through his loyalists. So all these rumors, I don't know how true these are, but the thing is, if there is indeed a cold war in BJP better get it right, one way or the other. I'm very
Both are
confident
needed.
that. Pardon me.
Both are needed. Both are very big stalwarts, and we need both of them. So they need to sort it out.
That's what I'm going to say. Basically, the thing is, it is a given, in my opinion, my astrological assessment. It is a given that Modi ji will basically transfer the power to somebody else, either in 26 or 27 or early 28. But I don't think it will be 28. It will be before the end of 27, in my opinion. So he will transfer the power to somebody else, some way or the other. Circumstances will develop that will basically push him in that direction. There'll be guidance from within. So somebody is going to take over. And I'm very confident it's not Amit Shah ji. And I'm very confident Amit Shah ji has still some role to play. He's a Chanakya. Chanakya worked with Chandragupta. But if Chandragupta, in the case of Chandragupta was younger. So Chanakya dedicated his life to basically bringing up Chandragupta and basically guiding him. But in this case, Chanakya is younger than Chandragupta. So when Chandragupta leaves, Chanakya has to find the next Chandragupta and work with him. And looking at the charts of Amit Shah ji and Yogi Adityanath ji, I don't really see any incompatibility between them or any, except for individual egos, etc. I don't see any incompatibility. I do think that they can patch up, they can work together. Just as Yogi for Narendra Modi ji, Amit Shah ji was basically the brains behind his operation. He was basically he was basically managing the party, managing the campaigning, etc., and all managing all the alliances, etc. I do believe that Amit Shah ji can continue to do that for Yogi Adityanath ji also. And in my assessment, Amit Shah ji may have a little bit of vindictiveness, but Yogi Adityanath is not that kind of a person. He won't have any vindictiveness. He's basically, even if somebody tried to sabotage him, if he thinks that working with that person is in the best interest of party and more importantly, the country, he will just do it. He's a very compassionate person, very empathetic person. He's not selfish. He's absolutely, see, every human being has some selfishness. Nobody is perfectly selfless. But the thing is, out of various political charts that I have seen, he's the least selfless chart. He has the least selfless chart. He will do what is right, and he can make up his mind just like that, basically. So I do think, and in case Amit Shah ji does not go down this route of basically patching up with Yogi ji and accepting Yogi ji as the next successor for Narendra Modi and basically working, see, that's the other thing. One way or the other, BJP has to move on. And if they make this transition messy, and if they don't do things right, this will be a disaster for the party and it will be a disaster for the country. So we can't really see next decade or next 8 years are a very, very pivotal time for the world. People, countries that have a lot of power, they will engage in a lot of machinations around the world, trying to basically thinking that will increase their power in the world. So China, US, various countries, Russia, they will play all these games, and then there will be unintended consequences. And trying to fix those consequences, those countries will do more smart stuff, but the smart will end up basically being dumb. Basically, what they think of as smart reaction to the circumstances will actually end up being stupid and complicate the problem. So basically, their attempt to solve certain problems will create bigger problems. So world will march towards a major disaster in 2030, 2031 time frame. So this is a very critical time. We can't afford to have instability in India, because if India doesn't have capable leadership and things basically under control, weird things can happen. Basically, if somebody like Rahul Gandhi is the leader of the country, or if somebody basically not at the caliber of Narendra Modi, Yogi Adityanath, Amit Shah, etc., at the helm of the country, things that we have seen in our neighborhood can be tried. They tried in our India also. Whatever they tried in Bangladesh, they tried in India in the last few years. through farmer protests, etc., all these various other toolkits means. But the thing is, we had the right leadership to thwart it, and we need to maintain that things will become worse across the world over the next 7 years. So we can't afford any let up. So Amit Shah ji will be wise to basically realize that he cannot be the next prime minister, and work on Yogi Adityanath ji basically being trained and being basically mentored and being ready to take over from Narendra Modi ji over the next few years, and in 2027 also basically make the actual transition. uh, and that is the best way. That is the best possibility. See, as I keep saying, astrology is not a deterministic science, it's a probabilistic science. There are always a lot of possibilities when you are at crossroads, but the thing is, some of them are more likely, some of them are less likely. If Amit Shah ji is thinking of the possibility that he becomes the next prime minister whenever Narendra Modi ji leaves, that is very, very unlikely to happen. That has a very low probability. The more likely scenario is he will make up his mind and they will patch up, and Amit Shah ji will support Yogi ji, and they will form a rapport between them, and they will basically be the next team. That is a strong possibility. If he rejects that possibility, then the next stronger possibility is history repeats. Basically, Narendra
Wow.
Modi ji is the new Vajpayee, Amit Shah ji is the new LK Advani, and Yogi Adityanath is the new Narendra Modi. Basically, what I mean is, when Vajpayee ji, who was seen as the face of the party, loved by the masses, and basically a moderate person, he was supported by LK Advani ji, who was seen as basically more Hindutva type, and then he fancied his chances as prime minister when Vajpayee ji retired. He never competed with Vajpayee ji, but after Vajpayee ji, he thought he's the natural heir to the party and next prime minister, but it was taken away from him. He was reduced to irrelevancy by Narendra Modi ji, and the same thing can happen. So again, I will not say this will happen or this will happen, but these are various possibilities. So it is in the best interest of India, BJP, and more importantly of Amit Shah ji, to basically accept Yogi ji and work towards the transfer from Narendra Modi ji to Yogi ji. So that is my assessment. And one small note here. See, Yogi ji, Amit Shah ji is not very popular among masses. He's basically seen as a smart person, etc. But Modi ji is always the face of the party. On the other hand, among the new generation leaders, Yogi ji is popular among the masses, especially in North India. If you go to the heartland, Hindi heartland, he's very popular among masses. He has very high approval ratings. But the thing is, I hear from some friends who basically say, oh, he's a Khattar Hindu, he's basically too he's a very fundamentalist, can India accept him, etc. I have 2 points to make there. See, based on the narrative that came from 2002 and Godhra riots, etc., Modi ji was highly targeted by the left-wing media, and he was seen as a pariah. If you look at before the elections, few years before the elections, he was seen as a pariah. He was seen as the picture painted in the media was, he's this radical, he's basically a radical Hindu fundamentalist, he's basically going to destroy Muslims are going to have to run for their lives if Modi ji becomes prime minister. See, these were the narratives in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013 time frame, right, before he came. But the thing is, see, he's a Hindu nationalist, but the thing is, he's not anti-Muslim. He's not anti-good Muslim. He's basically, he doesn't tolerate Muslim terrorists or Muslim gundas just because they're Muslims and you want to look secular. But the thing is, at the same time, he doesn't go out of his way to basically persecute minorities. He's not anti-minorities. He's not into minority appeasement. And same thing with Yogi ji. People think that he is anti-Muslim. He's basically minorities will have to run for their lives if he comes. He's a little bolder than Narendra Modi ji when it comes to stopping minority appeasement and doing what is right and meaningful. But at the same time, he's not dumb. It's not like he doesn't understand how things look like and what actions will be perceived how, and what actions are appropriate in what situation. He's a very intelligent person, and he has more than Narendra Modi and Amit Shah ji. One thing with Yogi ji is he has excellent instincts. He's a Karkalagna person, Cancer rising person. So he's less calculating and more instinctive, and he has very pure instincts. He has the blessings of Jupiter. So I think that actually the other point I can make is Yogi ji has excellent instincts, and Amit Shah ji has excellent intellectual acumen, and ability to process a lot of information and calculate. And if they both come together, it's like the right brain and left brain coming together, the logical brain and the emotional and intuitive brain coming together. There'll be a killer combination. So, so that is one thing. Basically, don't go by the current narratives. When the time comes, when they actually mentor him and basically ready him for this, you can project the right image, and he can basically, just like Modi ji transitioned from this image of a radical chief minister to a prime minister who's basically good for the whole country and everybody in the country. Yogi ji can do the same thing. That is one point. The other point is, in the next few years, especially when Jupiter is in Cancer and Leo, which is basically, see, right now Jupiter is in Taurus, and in mid 2025 he'll come to Gemini, and mid 2026 till mid 2028. So that is the time period when Jupiter will be in Cancer and Leo. So that period is and that is really good for BJP from BJP's chart perspective. And in general, in the world, you will see right-wing ideologies increasing during that time. And particularly for BJP, that's a glorious time. So even if he sticks to some of the right-wing ideology, it will gel better with people. See, right now, if you look right now in Saturn is in one side. And in general, when Saturn is stronger, the left-wing ideology, because Saturn is the son of a servant, based on the Puranic story, son and his servant maid, Chaya literally means shadow. And when they got together, Saturn was born. He thought that he was Sanja, his wife. Of course, all this has esoteric meanings. Sun is the Atma within our soul, and then Sanja is basically the transition between day and night. So day is absolute clarity of who you are, and night is darkness, not knowing your true nature. And Sanja is the transition between knowing and not knowing, some kind of intellectual understanding. And basically, when Sanja could not tolerate the heat of sun, and she went to her Maike Gaivo, and then when she went to her parents' house, then Chaya, basically, she asked Chaya to pretend to be her. So she basically pretended to be Sanja, and then Surya basically thought it was his wife, and they got together. So the thing is, the meaning, Chaya, literally, shadow is basically when light is on one side, you have shadow on the other side. So basically, the self-doubt inside us, basically not knowing your true nature, and the doubt of, well, I understand theoretically based on the scriptures that everything is God. I'm Brahman. But the thing is, you have some doubts, you have some agendas that are basically causing some shadow over your true nature. So that is what Chaya represents. And when she and the Atma, when they got together, Sani is born, and Sani personifies the spirit of working hard, basically. Even though you are Atman, you are Brahman, you basically do a lot of sadhana, a lot of austerities to basically reinforce that knowledge within you. That is the meaning of Chaya and Sun being together, giving birth to Sani. Sani represents our austerity, our spirit of hard work, our spirit of discipline, our spirit of basically preserving with things. So anyway, so Sani, he shows the downtrodden in the society, he shows hard work, etc. So when Sani is strong, in general, we see over decades, if you go back in the history, when Sani is strong, left-wing ideologies that talk about social justice and uplifting the weak, poor, etc., those ideologies will do better in the world. Basically, people will get attracted to them more. It doesn't mean all left-wing parties win during those periods, but left-wing parties have a better chance during that period. Basically, individual horoscopes, countries' horoscopes also matter. But in general, you will see more left-wing parties winning when Saturn is strong. On the other hand, when Jupiter is strong, Jupiter is basically the planet of intellect, Dhisakti, etc. He's basically the teacher of all the guards and teacher of, he's basically a Brahmana. So he basically shows the natural order in the world, which may not be just, but basically there is some natural order. So maintaining that order and maintain. So right-wing ideologies do better when Jupiter is strong. And if you look right now, Jupiter is in a enemy sign and Saturn is in own sign. That too, his Mula Trikona, basically very strong, his favorite one house. So if you look around the world, in general, more left-wing parties are winning during this period, during the last few months. For example, we had in UK, the left-wing government came, and in France, even though it looked like extreme right-wing may come, it did not. In the end, left-wing basically survived, and like that, basically you see. And even in India, even though BJP came back to power, some of the left-wing agenda of Rahul Gandhi nearly worked. Basically, they got more seats than everybody expected. So that is because of this geopolitical long-term influence. So anyway, the point I was trying to make is Saturn will go into an inimical sign in March 2025, and then from then onwards, for 5 years, he will be badly placed. He will be either in enemy sign or in the sign of debilitation for 5 years. So 2025 March till 2030 is not a great time for left-wing ideologies in the world. So all these things of giving sops to people and basically helping the poor, this will not really gel with people over that time period. On the other hand, particularly when Jupiter is in Cancer and Leo, the right-wing ideology will basically gel better with people. And also geopolitically around that time, around India, some mess may happen that will basically make people think along those religious lines, etc. more. So some of what is thought of as Yogi Adityanath's hardline ideology will actually gel better with Indians during that period. And apart from it, they can basically do a proper face-over to that and basically make it more palatable, make it basically represent it more fairly to the two people. And moreover, I always maintain that what the caricature painted by the media about Yogi Adityanath is not correct. He's basically a very smart, empathetic, practical, pragmatic person. People don't really understand. Once BJP actually makes a conscious decision to move to him and starts projecting him, instead of forcing, like in the case of Narendra Modi ji, he had to kind of do a coup against LK Advani to take over the party. And if BJP does not go down that route and basically makes a formal plan to transition to Yogi ji, you will start seeing his capabilities more. So I am very confident that Yogi ji is the right leader for India for the coming 7-8 years, and that is my assessment. He is the next prime minister. At the same time, Amit Shah ji's influence will reduce a bit, but I do see, if I look at his own chart, as I said, Jupiter Dasha shows slightly reduced power, but at the same time, he is in the 11th house from the Kritika Lagna, so he doesn't show loss of power. He just shows slightly reduced power, and even from the Dasyamsha is the chart that shows power, career, and in that there is a different Dasha. So based on that Dasha also, what I see is in 2020 till 2027, he runs a really good Dasha, a 19-year Dasha. That is really good for him. But the thing is, from 2027, he starts another Dasha, which is less favorable, but it's not really a terrible Dasha for him. So I don't see him retiring from politics. Or see, Narendra Modi ji, he may retire from active politics. He may still be in passive politics, or he may even have some kind of ceremonial role. But the thing is, he will focus more on his inner progress, basically his spiritual sadhana. On the other hand, Amit Shah ji, he will continue material life. He will continue to be in politics, active politics. And if basically the right equation can be established between him and the next leader, he can be the brains behind that leader, just like he was for Narendra Modi ji.
So we see more chances of Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath coming together.
That is my assessment. I do hope that is true. And if Amit Shah ji does not cooperate, I'm afraid he will go LK Lal Krishna Advani way. But there is a very good chance that doesn't happen. He basically does. He's a very smart man. So
he'll compromise.
Yeah, and it's not even, you don't even have to call it a compromise basically. If he's not anyway becoming the prime minister, if Yogi ji is the best possible man for the prime ministership, which may become clearer, even if it's not clear to them now, it will become clear over the next couple of years. So if that's the case, basically establishing the right equation with him and working with him is a smart thing to do. It's not even a compromise. It's the best thing for him.
Smart ways, smart thing. So there is one thing I also wanted to say. If there was no Chanakya, there would be no Chandragupta Maurya, and if there was no Chandragupta Maurya, there would be no Chanakya. Both needed
Yeah.
each other. It was a symbiotic relationship. Remember.
Right.
So and
Yes.
it is not necessary that that Chanakya can become Chandragupta Maurya. Right? They both needed each other, but they cannot both
Right.
replace each other. They both had their
Right.
own
Right.
importance. The
Right.
roles cannot be exchanged. So
Yeah.
this is something like Amit Shah is best person when to work in behind, when to work in background, but not a prime ministerial candidate, right?
He's definitely more of a Chanakya than a Chandragupta. Whereas Narendra Modi ji was the Chandragupta, and Yogi Adityanath is even a better candidate for being Chandragupta.
Better candidate for being Chandragupta. जी, thank you so much sir for joining. जाने से पहले सभी viewers से
Actually, I
request
just
है.
want to make a couple more points.
जी जी जी.
Some people call him corrupt, etc. I just want to address it based on his chart, just my astrological assessment. If I look at his Navamsha chart, which shows the dharma of the person, his dharma lord Dharmesh is Shani in the Navamsha chart, which shows dharma. And he's in the 6th house. He's with Sun, and he's an evil sign Scorpio. So it does show basically some compromises in dharma, but at the same time, Sunny is in the Shashtyamsha of Apampati, which is basically managing plenty, managing resources, etc. And above all, he's giving a Rajyoga there. The 5th and 9th lords are together. So basically, the Purpunya and Dharma are together in the 6th house. So, in my assessment, whatever material activities he engages in are basically for dharmic reasons, for basically for serving the party, for serving the nation. He may make some compromises. He may do some things that may be seen by some people as corrupt. But I do think that he's a person with a strong dharmic core who basically cares for the country, etc. And one more thing that people have said in the past is that his son, basically nepotism. His son Jai Shah is basically a cricket administrator, and there were accusations. I think somebody was actually sued and for that a few years back, that he basically his wealth increased by a certain factor of times after Amit Shah ji came to power. But the thing is, when I see the chart, his Saptamsha chart shows children, and in that chart, Taurus rises. So counting backwards, Capricorn is ruled by Shani, he rises. So that should be taken as Lagna to see Sun's destiny. And basically, looking at the chart, Sun has a Raj Yoga. So it is possible that, forget about nepotism and all these things, his son may rise not only in sports administration, but even in politics in the coming years. Jai Shah does have potential. I don't have his chart directly, so I'm assessing based on the chart of Amit Shah ji, which I am confident of. So his son may have excellent political prospects in the long run. But more importantly, taking Pisces as Lagna in the Saptamsa, the 5th Lord Moon in the 5th house and 9th Lord Mars exalted in the 11th house in Samsaptaka with Moon. That is a very powerful yoga. And 10th house contains Mercury and Ketu. So Mercury and Ketu, the 7th and 9th Lords. 7th Lord shows interacting with others. 9th Lord shows fortune, etc. So it is clearly Mercury Ketu combination there clearly shows somebody who's a businessman, who's in sport administration, etc. So the thing is, again, in that chart, I don't see any unscrupulous person or a dharmic person, etc. So I do, in my assessment, both Amit Shah and Jai Shah are dharmic people. They're not really like selfish people who are just amassing wealth at the cost of people. That is really a wrong narrative. Based on the charts, they're dharmic people, but they will bend some rules for larger good, basically. Sometimes for larger good, you have to compromise some lower good. So they may do that. Both of them may do that. But one thing I want to say is Jai Shah does have potential. And people may cry nepotism, etc. I do understand. People don't want nepotism. People want basically new blood to come. But the thing is, If your father is already a good politician and you also are destined to be a politician, what do you do? Do you get out of politician just because your father is a politician? So nepotism may give you a good start. You will get better opportunities, but to actually make the most of them, you have to basically have it in you. And in my assessment, Jai Shah does have it in him. So I do strongly hope that they don't basically, they are not hesitant to promote him because they'll be accused of nepotism. So they should basically project him outside of sports administration. They should basically project him in politics because he has excellent potential. Of course, if I have his chart, I can make a stronger assessment. But just based on his father's chart, and the chart does show does add up a lot of things. So and also I got it from a very reliable source. So I'm very confident that the data is right. So I hope that they project Jai Shah in the coming years.
Right. Very interesting. Jai Shah. I mean, after Amit Shah, Jai Shah, that's quite interesting, Periana. Thank you so much for joining. जाने से पहले सभी व्यूअर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज लाइक सब्सक्राइब और शेयर करना ना भूलें. अगर आप कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं, आप फीडबैक देना चाहते हैं, आप मुझसे जुड़ना चाहते हैं, तो सभी की सभी लिंक्स डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में. आप कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं तो यूपीआई स्क्रीन के ऊपर है. पीवीआर सर का चैनल है एस्ट्रोलॉजी का और होम्स का, होमन. Am I pronouncing it rightly, Periana?
What my website?
Yeah, website. It's a home website, like Homan website.
My Homa Havan and Homa manual website is vedicastrologer.org.
Right. So I'll put the links of that. You can connect to Periana. I mean, PVR Narasimha Rao sir there also. Thank you so much once again. Jai Hind, Jai Shri Ram, Har Har Mahadev.
Jai Shri Ram.